So we will start recording this. And now I want to give a chance for the partners to introduce themselves. I know some of you guys, I mean, a lot of you guys, I think everybody in here has been to a handful of our events. Some of you guys know our preferred partners, some of you might not, but I also know that most of you, if you sell any amount of real estate that is semi-successful, most of you are being harassed by vendors constantly. And I just want to guarantee that will not happen here today. I'm very transparent about this. I can't do anything. As great as you think the platform is, I literally cannot do anything without the help of our preferred partners. That is how they make this possible. And so they're not here today to sell themselves. I'm sure they would like to connect with you after if they can help in any way. But the reason I invited them on the call today is with the realtors, you guys are crushing it in your field currently. The same thing with our partners, they're crushing it in their field. So I believe they can be a great resource in working through these unique obstacles as well. So Paul, why don't you go first? Then we'll go to Michael, then we'll go to Justin, and then Melissa and Jesse from Straightforward Home Inspections, if you guys can go, and then I will jump into the meat and potatoes. I'm not trying to be biased. I'm just going through the order that people jumped on the call. So Paul, take it away, my friend.
My name is Paul Carney. See myself on camera. I now know why my wife is the face of the company. My wife and I did,
You're kind of soft. Can't hear you.
can you hear me now? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
You're good.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Wife and I, Monica, we founded a company called Phoenix Rising Home Staging. The name came from, we started the company in 2007, 2008, when the real estate market was crashing and burning. And we thought it was a great time to start a staging business. So there you go.
Cool. Justin, go ahead.
All right. Can you all hear me? Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Hey everyone, Justin Strane from Shapiro Strane. So I'm a real estate transactions attorney here in the city. Been doing this about 10 years, going into the 11th year.
Beautiful. Michael, go in your cool virtual background. I love it.
Yeah, this is my daughter's old room. So I have pink, I got elephants and narwhals and whatever else you want in here. So I'm Michael Bencks.
I think that's your room. I think that's your room.
Totally.
My wife booted me. Yeah, my name is Michael Bencks. I'm with Guaranteed Rates, so I do the super fun and exciting lending part of this process. Hold down your applause for all the finance questions and all that. And I've been doing mortgages for about 13 years here in Chicago, and here we are. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Andy.
Yep. And then I'll let Jesse or Melissa speak on behalf of Straightforward Home Inspections.
I would let him speak, but where did he go? I'm the office manager
right here.
of Straightforward Home Inspections, and he's the man on a mission. He has a much better spiel than my 10 seconds. So go ahead.
I'm Jesse. I'm the owner of Straightforward Home Inspections. Sam, I've worked with you once before. And actually, I inspected the property right next to your home office, right there, like right on Ashland. Like, bam, there was a condo right up there. And I was like, hey, that's Sam Shaffer. Look at that guy. There he is. So that's cool. Anyway, I just wanted to, and I know, Andy, I don't like the word harass. I don't harass people, but, it's like, it's straightforward home inspections. I just, there's standards of practice in Illinois, but there's also a real estate contract. And it's a real estate transaction, and people need to know that they're buying used stuff most of the time. So that's what I do. I've owned my company for 7 years now. I have 25 years construction experience. And I also have like 12 years sales experience. So when I talk to clients, I can see if they can, when I talk to clients, I see if I'm giving them too much information and things like that. But I think a sales background is very important in this industry. I originally wanted to be a real estate agent. So there you go. But that's me. And Melissa is my office manager, and we're highly responsive. So just go ahead and talk, and we'll, we'll just chime in when we can. Thanks.
Yeah. No, thanks, and I appreciate that. And I was referring to not people on this call are harass vendors, but realtors in general are used to being harassed by vendors. That's all I was trying to frame. So let's just jump in. I have found with these calls, the more I talk, the less people get from it. So what I would like everybody to do, or not necessarily everybody, if somebody wants to kick us off, and then just conversation seems to just flow very organically. Just to take maybe 2 to 3 minutes, share an update on what they're experiencing in the market, or maybe something that they have implemented that has happened from COVID. You know, you rewind to March 15th up until now that maybe you were not doing, and then something positive that's happened from COVID. So if any brave soul would like to go first. Actually, I was calling. Yeah, go ahead. Now, I will be quiet. Obviously, if there was like a 27-second awkward pause, you know, I'll say some stuff to kind of foster conversation. But this is your guys' time. I want people to get the most value out of it. So I want everybody to ask partners questions, partners ask realtors questions, and fire away.
All right. So prior to COVID, I took I'm a home inspector. I got to come in and touch people's like showers, their toilets, their all that stuff. So I was already prepared with PPE all the time. I had gloves when I could buy them. I had gloves, I had masks, I had twin respirators, I had body suits. It used to be a joke, like when I would go out from a single family home inspection, and I'd have my like Walter Whites on. That's what I call them. You know, if you've seen Breaking Bad. So, so I'd have the twin respirator, I'd have the suit on, I'd have my booties on, I'd walk outside and go grab a ladder or something, and the neighbors would freak out. But now they're not freaking out because they're like, hey, that guy's normal. So I've been doing this longer than all the realtors ever because, I just need to protect myself. And like this COVID stuff is an alarming kind of a thing, and realtors have taken a different shift. Closings are remote. There's all, the showings were virtual, all these other things. But like, it didn't really change for me and my company. And I've always protected myself, and in protecting myself, I protected everybody else, The only thing that I do different now is I will wipe down, I'll take a disinfecting wipe, and every surface that I touch, I just disinfect it. I leave the house cleaner than I left it. So, that's about it with the COVID stuff. It really hasn't changed anything for me in my procedure. And we let clients know that, and we make sure that the clients and realtors all feel safe.
Anybody on the realtor side? I'd like to kind of get the realtors going, and then the partners can sort of join in on how to serve them better. So, Sam, Carrie, you guys got anything for us?
I'll jump in. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Realtors, let's collaborate. Here goes. All right. So I had an epiphany literally like this last week. So when I've been negotiating deals for my sellers, I've been taking the approach of, hey, let's leave a little bit of meat on the bone for the buyer, make them feel good, because in the end, the goal is to get to the finish line. So my sellers have been really open to that approach. And as a buying broker, it's great because we're getting a deal done. It's very little drama. However, my epiphany as of literally this week, because I feel like personally for my listings that the buyers are just being beyond nitpicky with inspections. So this isn't anything new, but what I'm finding is that the buyers are really digging in their heels to claw to get every single penny out of inspection items. So we're here to collaborate and discuss ideas and strategies. So I think a good talking point, which I'm going to start implementing, is to say to my sellers, listen, I don't want to turn this into sport, but I think we should probably dig our heels in a little bit on agreeing to a final price, because what's going to happen is be preemptive that we're going to have to renegotiate, and this deal is going to get retraded. No matter how great the other brokers on the other end that says, Sam, I get it. This is a as-is deal. We're not going to nickel and dime you. They're going back, and I'm finding that the brokers aren't able to really manage the transaction or their client in an appropriate way. So I thought that might be a good conversation starter to see kind of what you guys are seeing on your end.
So I think that's good. This is Carrie McCormick. So I think that is great, Sam, and I've been on a lot of other sides of the transaction. I think it's important too, as brokers, that we work together, obviously, to make it a win-win for both of our clients. But one thing I started to do is pre-inspections on a lot of my clients' homes. I knew you'd like that. You know, it makes the deal go a lot smoother. And you're right. I mean, people start digging their heels in, you know, after the contract is signed. So this way, when we do the pre-inspections, we don't head down a road of renegotiations as well.
Hey, Carrie, can I ask you a question? When you do pre-inspections, is there a report furnished?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I have two ways to approach that, but we'll talk about that later.
Do you share it, Carrie? Do you share it as part of your marketing tools, your inspection?
It depends on how the inspection comes back.
Okay.
So, you know, obviously, if it's a great inspection, you know, or things that were fixed, you know, we do share it with the buyers if they want to see it, you know, and especially if it's an as-is. I've seen a lot more as-is deals happen now. I just had one on a single-family home. We had a pre-inspection done. I shared the inspection report with them, and they took it as is. They're still doing their own inspection, but it just kind of alleviates the renegotiation of the deal.
Let me chime in real quick with that whole thing. And Sam, what you're saying, I just want to let you guys know that this isn't like, I'm not trying to sell, but when I talk to my clients, having 25 years of construction experience, I know when I say, listen, I have a standard of practice. I'm an ASHI certified inspector. So the state of Illinois, I have all these things that I have to tell clients. I have to tell them, otherwise I'm not legal. So like I do this, and then, but I also temper it with, listen, you know, like you're buying an 1887 house, you know, like you're gonna need some work. You're gonna do it in there. And I explain to all my clients, there's like 3 tiers of things, inspection issues. There's like tier 1 where you don't want to buy it anymore because there's major structural, electrical, plumbing, environmental. And then there's like tier 2 stuff that's like the typical like negotiation process that Sam's talking about and nickel and diming. But I also deter them from that because like you can't be doing that in a competitive market. And then there's tier 3 where you just the client's going to roll up their sleeves and just take care of the work themselves. You know, if something's important, I will tell them, but don't freak out about GFCI and don't freak out about this and that. That's why you need like I need my clients on site so that I can like temper that whole resolve. And by the way, I answer all my clients' phone calls and emails within 12 to 24 hours or less. And I tell them, if a contractor comes in and tells you some like bullshit, I need you to call me because I will call out that bullshit if it's real.
So Sam, to go back to what you were saying before too, man, I'm with you there. I completely understand what you're saying. But I feel like if you're in the 2 to 5 range right now, your sellers can dig in. They can be hard asses because there are other buyers out there. But I am finding for anything that's over, I would say like 800 or so, I want my sellers to just play ball for the most part, just because there's just not as many buyers out there in that range. So I'm saying like the mid range, I'm 100% with you. But when you get above that, I mean, at this point, I'm just preparing my sellers for everything and saying, listen, there's not as many buyers out there right now. So just play ball and let's close the deal.
Good.
Then just jumping in on that, I know you all have your attorneys that you work with, and for the ones that you're used to and you've developed that rapport, awesome. But if you're working with an attorney that you have no experience with, like that wild card, maybe if you can try to suggest that attorney set expectations with the client when they're going through, you know, what's attorney review, what's inspection. One thing, just because I became really tired on the buy side of talking with buyer clients that want to request the GFCI, is the light bulbs in the closets, the closet door is off track, all of these little things. They wanted to basically present a new construction punch list. So one thing I tell them right at the outset is, look, we're going to review the report. I'm keeping an eye out for notes for the inspection about safety items, major issues. For you, there's a lot of substantive issues, but keep in mind, we want big ticket items here, because if you go back to a seller with a large list, in my experience, one of two things happen. You don't get any of it, or the seller fixed it like 2 or 3 things you really didn't care about. And then those big ticket items just go by the wayside. Usually that talks some sense into them and they approach things from a different perspective than when I would just kind of say, look over the inspection report, but there's always difficult clients too.
So I have a contract question. With the new 7.0 contract, isn't it if a buyer comes back with any sort of request that the seller can just automatically terminate?
No.
No, not any sort of request, Carrie. Requests in violation of Section 12 of that contract. I would need to go back to the exact language, but anything, cosmetic items would be a violation, for instance. Extremely minor items would be a violation. So the thing is, I haven't seen in this market sellers actually use that tool. Usually they come back and they'll just say no. Yeah, it was put in the contract to avoid this exact nitpicky situation, but in what I've seen so far is it's had little to no result.
Can't you just like write that? Can't you just adjust the contract as you wish?
Yeah, you can propose modifications and attorney review.
Right. Okay. That's cool.
I was going to say Justin would probably appreciate our reports, because we have an action list that goes out to the buyer, the realtor, and the lawyer that just summarizes the things on the summary of the inspection report. And I feel like when people see that they kind of, it comes with, okay, this is what's wrong. Here are some pictures that you can attach to it. You can request to have it fixed. You can request, credit at closing. But I feel like if the client sees that, then they know whether or not it's a big deal to them. Like when it's laid out in the way that our form shows it, if it's GFCI stuff and they look at it and they're like, oh, I could do that later, then they skip over it kind of thing. And then they just produce their own form of what they're looking for from the sellers.
The action list is a formatable PDF. So the client gets this like big report, and the action list is very simplified for realtors, like Melissa said, realtors, lawyers, and whatever. I get referred by a lot of lawyers because of the action list. So what happens is it lists summary items and maintenance items. It lists all the recommendations, and then you can like pick and choose. Like, so I recommend like 45 different things on a single family or multi-family home. And then you can format the PDF to just include 2, 3, whatever, like less items than the total. And it makes it, there's no copying and pasting, there's no nothing. It's just straightforward, and it's really, really simple to use, and really everybody loves it. So there you go. 1 second, I'll be right back.
I don't think he had anything else to add if somebody else has a question.
What's your take on stuff, Juany and Janelle? I'd like to hear what you guys would think.
I try to prepare my buyers, because there's a lot of everything out there, but there's in particular a lot of first-time buyers, especially when we started to open up again. It was, like you guys mentioned, that price point 500 and under was coming out real strong. And for the most part, they're first-time buyers. And I always go in and say, when we're going to go do the inspection, typical rule of thumb is $600 worth of and under. That's nitpicky. Home ownership is exactly that. It's home ownership. You have to take ownership of this. You're going to have projects. I always bring up GFCIs because they come up in every report. And I say, handyman, they can fix it for $75. We're not going to go in there and kill a deal for $600 worth of stuff. We're looking for the big stuff. We're looking for the mechanicals and the guts of the project. And if I know that you're going to go and renovate the kitchen and the bathroom anyway, I'm going to walk you through that and tell you, well, you're going to rip that out anyway. Why are we going to risk losing the deal? Because I've seen a lot of multiple bids happening here. With asking for silly things. So 9 times out of 10, we end up having this conversation again when we go through the inspection report, and they're like, well, but it's like 10 different little things. And I said, yeah, but if you calculate them together, and I always look at the report and pull it together myself, and I send them an email and I say, I'm not a contractor, but from my experience, X, Y, and Z costs this and this and this and this. So that's like $500 worth of work. It's easier for you and get it done the way you want to do it. And so we try to kind of just tackle the big stuff if there's anything big.
That's awesome. That's an awesome point, because like, here's a, like, there is, like I said earlier, you're buying a used home, you can't worry about that stuff. And Carrie, you were talking about pre-listing inspections. We do it 2 ways. You can have an inspection report, or I do something called inspector assistance, where those closet lights, those GFIs, that's just like blanket stuff. You just please take care of that. You know, make sure the listing agent should make sure the lights are all working. They should like buy light bulbs if they have to. Just put them in there so I don't have to put it in the report. I hate putting stuff like that in the report because it's just so tiresome. So please just do that. The thing is, major items, inspector assistance. So I go through and I say, hey, listen, you know, this is the major thing here, the major thing here, the major thing here. They take notes, and and then we just go from there. And I do that actually. I do that for developers. I do that for, you know, a lot of different people where they just go through. They're just taking their own notes what they have to do, you know. There was one realtor I ran into, the realtor / builder that actually like made the home inspection proof, you know, all the closet lights, all this, all that, you know, and it was like, it was a great report because I didn't have to write a bunch of stuff. I put a lot of energy into my reports, which is the difference between me and every other single company out there. And if I have to spend less time on a report, yay, I love it.
For my listings as well, what I try to do is right before we go on the market, I always have them, and I schedule it. I'm like, we're going to have your HVAC cleaned and serviced. And the funny thing is, several times I've actually had the inspector write it in the report anyway, and I hand them the receipt. I'm like, it was literally cleaned yesterday.
Oh, that's the way it gets resolved. That's awesome, because you know, an inspection is a snapshot in time, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever. But it's really, I don't like Chicken Little inspectors. Does everybody know who Chicken Little is?
We do.
We do.
But I have
I got a question. Can I ask a
This is
question?
Carrie. We talk a little bit about the market and what everyone's seeing in the market.
Yeah. So
North Shore. How's North Shore doing?
North Shore is moving, actually. Sam, how's the city going? Janelle?
The city's going great, and Carrie brought up an interesting point where a lot of these, I guess, lower price point homes, and Danny alluded to it earlier, under the 500K price point, they're selling, which is creating this beautiful domino effect where those sellers are now becoming buyers that are buying their next home. And a lot of my sellers are actually moving to the suburbs. So before I had this attitude where I'm like, you know, I'm just a city guy, I'm focusing on the city. Now it's like, hey, great news, everyone. I service the suburbs. So I put a deal together in LaGrange. I had to use my GPS, but I know how to get deals done because everyone on this call knows how to transact. So whether we're in Chicago or LaGrange or even Park Ridge, we're able to, at least me personally, to utilize, you know, everything, the way that we transact and operate to close deals. So as Carrie alluded to, the North Shore is probably screaming right now because a lot of people are moving out of the city into the burbs. Are you guys seeing that as well?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Sam, I know you're using MapQuest to find it.
I moved to River Forest in February, just before the shutdown, and I lived in Lakeview forever. I left the city kicking and screaming, and then, you know, the shutdown happened, and I told my husband he was genius for making me do it. Not only because the life was better, we had a bigger house and a yard, and the kids they had fun during all of it, But business-wise, I'm super busy doing both. And my city stuff is selling in multiple bids, but everybody's moving to the burbs as well. So it's like the listings are selling, and then I've got all the buyers that for the first time in a long time, I may be taking a buyer out 1 or 2 times, and they're writing right away.
So what I've said to my sellers, you know, some of the sellers that are city, just like what you had said, you know, is anyone buying the city? Everyone seems to be the city and moving to the burbs. And my answer to that is everyone's in different stages of their lives, right? If you're in a 2-bedroom condo, you know, your husband and wife are, you know, working out of the home and have kids, you want a 3-bedroom condo. If you have a 3-bedroom condo on one level, you want a duplex down or a duplex up. If you're in a 3-bedroom, you want a townhome. So there's all movement, just depending on where you're at in your current home. And the beauty of this market now, I think a lot of people hate where they live. You know, they want something different. So whether it's the city or the suburbs, they just want more space. They want something different. So I see, you know, just as you're seeing multiple, it's all moving in all different areas. And, you know, that's where the North Shore is extremely happy to see some of their inventory moving finally.
Yeah, finally. You know.
Carrie, for the city, are you starting to see more? Because I feel like the hardest hit lately, but I will say in the last week, I'm seeing more of that $2 million buyer come out too. Are you guys seeing that in the city? I'm seeing that in the suburbs. There's a lot of movement for that in the burbs.
That's Lincoln Park, all that stuff. Yeah.
Everywhere. I mean, I'm further north than most people here.
Gold Coast, Lincoln
And
Park.
I'm selling pardon?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, we're seeing it all over. It's up north. I'm north of Foster, where I'm seeing stuff over $1 million. My $2 million home just went under contract in Lakeview. Things that were sitting for a while. There's movement in the high end if it's priced right. So.
Paul had a question. Go ahead. I was going to say you had a question earlier, so fire away, Paul.
COVID kind of interrupted the spring market, and I'm amazed on how talented and gifted the Chicago area agents were to continue to work through the lockdown or stay-at-home order and place stuff under contract. We have 250 homes out there, anything from $2.8 million to $80,000 condos from Wisconsin, Indiana. So it's a pretty good barometer. And I was shocked of the activity. And now it sounds like our numbers are higher than 19. I'm wondering how long you think does this flurry of activity, does it have legs? Is it going to go 3 months? How long do you think this can run?
Can I ask a question to answer your question? Frank Montro, I think during the recession was one of, on this screen, and I'm not saying everybody didn't suffer, but most of us did suffer, and there was Mr. Man on the Go, survived the recession before, and I think he's a good voice for the future.
Oh, hey, everybody. Sorry I ran late. Yeah, so, you know, everything is understanding where the opportunity is and then adjusting. I'm always looking for new opportunities. I don't look at the market as being up or down. I just, when I put on a pair of glasses, I always look to see where the opportunity is. You know, with now in my market, which is completely foreign to probably everybody in this room, except I think I've seen Sam. I've bumped into Sam on a few deals. Hey, Sam. And a few of the vendors here I know very well. So yeah, as far as the market's concerned, in my world, it's going to be intensely strong because of the fact that there's no inventory there. You know, there will be some shifts in the market where there'll be a lot more foreclosures coming up because of the different things happening in the in the market now. It's the foreclosures will show up 6 months from now and further. So there will be inventory that's strong. One of the things that, so Barbara, to answer your question, what's the problem right now is inventory. Buyers are buyers are insanely rampant. I mean, I'm getting, if I get the right listing, I get 4 to 5 offers immediately. Like so I sold a property up on the north side the other day. It was like 425. We listed and sold it in 4 hours. I've got a property right now I listed. It's probably 20,000 over market, but it's a unique house. I've got 5 offers on, and I got a ton of offers in a ton of showings this weekend. So the question really is now, the challenge now, the opportunity is where is the inventory? How do you get to the inventory? So that's what I'm working on now. That's what I'm looking to grow my business. I'm looking to, I'm going off market into deep, dark channels that I normally wouldn't go to before. Before it was, before it was much easier. I get even the referral business is down somewhat. I'm still getting referral business, but I can't rely on that. Those percentages have gone down. So my team is proactively chasing inventory in different off-market areas, and we're getting a lot more success now. So to answer your question, Barb, it's always to have a bulletproof system. You have to be willing to change. You have to anticipate the market, and you have to be looking for opportunities. And most importantly, you have to adapt your business model. If you don't do that, you're going to get your ass handed to you on a regular basis, because the market is changing all the time. And you don't need to wait for a huge shift to change. The market's always has micro shifts. There's different areas in Chicago that will tap out, because once the prices go so high, they run out of buyers that can qualify, so then the values have to go down. So you have to be paying attention to the market. So that's really, people ask me, why am I so consistent? I've been in business for 38 years. It's because I'm always looking and anticipating a shift. I'm always expecting it, because I'm just looking for opportunities. So to me, guys, that's my best advice I can give you today, is to make sure that you don't keep. When I came in, I like a lot of stuff I heard about setting expectations, providing value, and showing the ridiculousness of walking away from a handful of items if it's only worth $500-600. Great stuff, guys. I hope this is helpful to you guys, to that you change your you look at things a little differently. You just don't look at hey, this is my business model. I'm a buyer's agent. I'm a seller's agent. I'm going to do things this way. Always challenge yourself to be better, and always challenge yourself to change. It's the American way, baby.
Everything. It's awesome. There we go.
He's my hero.
Yeah. I'm wondering if what I'm seeing is everyone wants to close by the end of August. Everyone wants to close maybe early September. And I feel that because we're opening up so much, the conversation I keep hearing is, if we shut down again, I want to be here. I want to do, and that's kind of the big shift in why everybody's moving around. And if they're in the suburbs, I'm seeing people want in the city, and vice versa. But it will be interesting to see, with this being an election year, are we going to slow down come September, October? I
don't think so. I don't think you're going to slow down. I think the market is, the first quarter was like accelerating like a rocket. It was just like boom, and then all of a sudden March hit. I had a record March in my company. And even with the COVID halfway through, the shutdown, I think that it's going to straggle. I think with your typical end of third quarter, fourth quarter kind of stuff, where it kind of slows down a little bit, I think that's going to be different this year. That's just my prediction. I think that people are going to still keep on buying, because it's like pent up energy that's just like exploding,
So I agree, but the key to, I've been through 5 major shifts over 38 years and a gazillion micro shifts. the key is the market is far more stable if you're in a seller's market. If you have a ton of buyers out there and very limited inventory, that stabilizes prices. And even if there's artificial shifts brought on by the government shutting things down, or even if that produces a higher unemployment rate. I've seen the market kill it with much higher unemployment rates than we have now. So I'm not worried about those things. You know,
I think we are all in an industry that needs to keep moving in order to keep the economy alive. So we're lucky to be in this industry, the real estate industry. And you guys, you know, being like, you know, like the best of the best, and well, me too. But you know, the thing is it's a very, I feel grateful that I have not stayed in one day, not one. When it first started, I have to go out every day. So it's a business that needs to keep moving in order to keep the economy alive. I feel sorry for a lot of other businesses and stuff like that, but I'm so happy to be in real estate, period.
So I got another question for the agents. Can I ask that?
Go ahead.
Paul, can you speak up a little bit? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
How are you, Frank?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm living the dream, baby. So, do you feel that the way people buy homes now has changed forever with the video walkthroughs and the 3D Mataports? You know, is it that, before COVID, people would start their search online, grab a good agent, then go see 20 homes? Or now do they narrow it down to 2 because there's so much more information online with those video walkthroughs, with those 3D Mataports? You think it's changed forever, or do you think it's changed at all?
I think it's just another tool in our toolbox. I'm a little bit resentful when I get the call from agents that want me to do a Zoom tour for them before they let their clients come and see it. And I have gone to I asked the question, is your client going to be with you? No. And I'm getting to where I'm not wasting my time. My time is valuable. And if their client can't come, so I think I'm hearing people who have bought online. We've sold to some people who have bought without seeing it. I think we'll get a few of those, but people still want to touch and feel and see. And
the less showing, are they able to narrow it down to 3 homes from all the video tours and stuff online versus having you take them to 20 homes?
Probably, but I work, my daughter, my name says Claire, but I'm Barbara. So for those of you who don't know me, but my daughter Hillary normally works with the buyers. She's pretty good just in general of zooming in and getting them to close within seeing 5 things. I'm that 100 showing person, so I'm not the right person to answer that portion.
I think so. Yeah, go. Sam, what do you see?
So I think first of all, it's a good question. And I think when Andy put this group together, he wanted to kind of talk about, hey, what have we done to kind of reinvent ourselves during COVID? So one thing that I did was I was going to be the person on the front lines and tell people, hey, if you're not comfortable, let me go ahead and do a video walkthrough on your behalf and bring value to the table. And I did that. And I hated it. I felt like here's a person, a client that I necessarily haven't even reeled in yet, but I'm just trying to cultivate new business. And they're like on their couch and I'm in the field with my gloves on and my mask and like really like trying to add value. And they don't necessarily have a lot of skin in the game. So I did it because I wanted to prove to myself from a personal standpoint that I could still cultivate in this unprecedented time. I feel right now we're all beyond that. COVID is a real thing, but we're all doing a lot of transactions and volumes and we're out there with buyers and sellers. So I do think it's a good tool, as Barbara referenced, that it's another way to market your property and for buyers to really hone in on a listing. But I don't think that the narrative's changed. I feel that for me and my clients, we're going to go out there and we're going to kiss some frogs. And I always say, pardon my cheesy cliches, or turn over some rocks. But for us, the education piece is the most important. I want to live my life. I want to run my business with as little drama as possible. Okay, that's my mantra. That's it. It's very simple. That's what works for me. How am I going to do that? I don't want to get in bed with a buyer that saw something through my phone and doesn't realize that there's power cords running through the backyard that he couldn't see through my camera. So I want to alleviate that. So I like my clients to be with me, to be present, to be educated, to be at the inspections. So I don't feel like this is like a great tool. I can be less busy because I can just do a Matterport video and that's how we're going to transact. So
yeah, to add to that, Sam and Paul, to answer your question, I think if anything, it showed the exact opposite. It showed how important just human interaction actually is. I mean, Sam, I'm curious, you know, you said you had a bunch of showings and you did FaceTimes for them. If you had to give a percentage out of all the showings that you did, how many of those clients actually eventually wrote an offer without actually seeing the place, just from FaceTimes?
There was one client who I showed not a gazillion, but we worked really aggressively in a short period of time to find them a house in Wilmette. And then they traveled back to Seattle. Then COVID hit. And I ended up doing just a couple FaceTime walkthroughs for them. And they ended up going under contract to buy a house. And I had my fingers crossed that they were going to come to the inspection because they hadn't seen the house. It's a $900,000 purchase, and they did. And then I had a couple other people that didn't turn into anything. But again, it was for me personally during that time. I needed for my own self-worth to be busy. I didn't have to make money, but I needed to be busy for my own mental. Just like I said, to feel good about what I'm doing and then to build upon that. So I was happy to go out there and make no money, but at least to be busy and try to reinvent myself.
Can I ask a question about that? Like in my contract, okay, so inspection time is like the open window where it's open, like people can come by. So Sam, just yesterday, I did a $900,000 home in Wilmette, and the people were from Seattle. It's kind of funny that you said that. So like they came in, but they also invited all these family members, right? Like that lived in town. So now you got this COVID thing going on, and now there's like 4 other people that show up during the inspection. I don't know what the real estate view is on that, because I like to not have that happen because it detracts from the experience. I am the liaison between the real world and the scary language of the report. And if they're not fully cognizant of what I'm trying to explain to them, they're going to freak out about like inspection items on the report. And it's facilitated by having their uncle or their father or their father-in-laws are the biggest deal killers, by the way. Anyway, but it's a thing that I deter away from that. So my question is, do you encourage, even during this COVID-19 stuff, like other members of the family attending the inspection?
No, I think we should all still be saying, for the health and safety of who lives there, we can only have max 4 people or something like that. Decision makers only is what I tend to say, unless it's new construction. Sam?
Yay. Well deserved, Juany.
My mom brought me a margarita, everyone.
Well deserved. All right, let's get this party started.
I think
I'm sorry.
real quick, I think I said this in the beginning, but just to clarify, this is water, okay?
Yeah.
Just want to make sure. Carrie also, I want to let her talk. She has her hand raised. She's obviously in her car, but she's had her hand raised for a while. So Carrie, I didn't know if you had a question for somebody else or if you wanted to kind of chime in on something. So I wanted to acknowledge that you wanted to say something real quick. Can you hear me? Nope. Okay, then never
I
mind.
have another
Well, here
question.
she is.
Hey, Barbara, I've run into you before.
Who said you, who is it? I can't, who?
Yes, me, the inspector. Hey.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Yeah, it was on January 2018 on Lee Mai. You were the
Oh,
listing agent.
yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Wow.
Yeah.
You're pretty good that you can go back in your calendar and.
No, it's teamwork. There's Melissa there. We are the most responsive people on the planet. I'm
No,
telling you.
that's good. That's why you're
Real-
successful.
Real
I can
quick,
share one tool that I've used that has really worked since we're talking about video tours. And funny enough, I have a ton of clients relocating from other states coming here, and they're not always able to be here. So I've started doing preview tours for them. I use a thing called Marco Polo. Has anybody heard of that?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Marco Polo has been amazing because when you're FaceTiming your client, they have to be available. And you can only walk through that once during a FaceTime. With Marco Polo, I go ahead and I walk through it on my time when it's good for me. I take a video, I separate it into, if it's a bigger home, I'll do like the first floor, one video, second floor, another video, and then the outside in the basement in a third video. Now, I can tell and they're watching, and they can write me text questions or tell me, and this has been great. They'll be like, wait, can you go back to the garage? And was there a step up? And was there a this? And we zoom back. But I try to get really detailed in my video because then they can watch it as many times as they want later on and then create comments. And it has been a great eliminator of property, especially for people that are super busy or it's Corona, they can't bring their 2 kids because nobody has a nanny. So that's why we've been so quick with putting buyers under contract with only 1 or 2 times out is I know what they're looking for. I go, I hunt it, I sift through the crap. And then when they come into town or get a babysitter, we see their top 2 and that's it. And then it's like an offer. And so Marco Polo, it's a good tool. You should try it.
my wife uses Marco
Can I
Polo.
just jump? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all I was gonna say. My wife uses Marco Polo all the time. I always think she's FaceTiming with some people, and then like she's not interacting with anybody. So
No.
I can definitely see how that would work. Frank, why don't you go ahead, and then Michael's been kind of quiet, so I want to get him on how he's adding value, besides getting his cute children in the background. So why don't you go, Frank, and then I'll let Michael kind of talk about just how he's been pivoting and just what you've been up to as far as adding value to the real estate community. So Frank, go ahead, man.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, a lot of my agents use Marco Polo as well too. It's been very effective. The other thing that we do is we find out. So if we have to do a walkthrough, they're not there. We try to create a lifestyle walkthrough. So it's not just here's a living room, here's a dining room. It's 16 by 12. This room's, we want to find out what their measurements are, their furniture, if they have any unique furniture, how big their TV is. So we'll walk through a room and say, hey, look, your 70-inch big screen TV is going to fit only on this wall here, or it's going to fit on these. This here, we kind of walk through and say, look, this is how you're going to use this room. We're just not walking through and say, look at this beautiful house and these beautiful luxury appointments, and isn't it as gorgeous? And boy, don't I look beautiful today? So we're actually helping them visualize how they can utilize each room, and we found that to be a game changer for us.
Yeah, visualization. Awesome.
Frank, do you
Michael.
do that yourself or do you hire a company that does that?
What's that?
Said, do you do that yourself or do you hire a company that does that?
Oh no, we just part of our buyer's consultation, Paul. We will we'll find out some of their basic needs there, and then if they want us to do a walkthrough, we're like, oh cool, yeah, we'd love to do one for you, but describe your lifestyle and describe what you're looking for. How do you use the kitchen? How to use the family room, and give me, you have any unique size pieces of furniture? Do you have, how big's your TV? All that kind of stuff. So we kind of want to get the lay of the land and get an unfair advantage, so to speak, by knowing what they have, and then making some suggestions. Hey, look, your living room, you can rearrange.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Hey, guys, real quick, Jesse, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
All right, Dan, go ahead.
Andy, I thought this was gonna be an hour, so I apologize. I kind of worked my schedule around that. I could actually vouch for Michael Bencks. Michael Bencks is an excellent lender. He has amazing arms, and I'm glad you showed them off today, Michael. Thank you for letting us see those. But Andy, this was so great. Thanks so much for having us. I apologize, I got to run out, but this is really helpful, and I really appreciate you guys having me here.
Thanks, Dan.
I was actually going to allude to the fact, if I block off like an hour, I mean, if it spills over until 5:07, that's totally cool. But yeah, thanks for saying that, Danny. I just want to be respectful of everybody's time. So I'm going to let Michael have the floor for however long he does. And yeah, man, I know you got a lot of knowledge up there. So I'm just curious what you're doing. Take it away.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'll make this quick here. Friday is nice weather and all that. We all have better things to do. So I get it. Especially better things than to hear about financing and mortgages and rates and terms and all that. So, I mean, just to touch on something earlier, as far as this market, I'm noticing that purchase applications are exploding, the past 3 or 4 weeks. And it reminds me of when we had the polar vortex, where the whole spring market, kind of started late, but then just took off. So this is easily going to be just on fire well into the fall and in Q4. And everyone's pent up, right? Everyone's in their houses, cabin fever, they want to get out. And now that we can do more showings, more open houses, the requests and applications that I'm getting on the lending side for people trying to buy is just off the charts. It's insane. So it's good. I'm seeing people that, were trying to do stuff in, January, February, took a little pause, they're coming back. So we're kind of refreshing things. But, money is cheap, rates are low. We're able to do everything virtually, so we don't have to deal with, everything is online. You can sign all your papers online. I mean, you can do everything, from your couch at home with your computer, So we're trying to do the whole, humanless and touchless and all that stuff. But other than that, it definitely seems like everybody that I've spoke to, as far as realtors and attorneys and everyone involved in the whole process, that everything is just skyrocketing right now. So I definitely feel like this is going to be a killer year, even though we started a little slow.
I have a question for you. What products are still not there? I just heard that you had to have a 2-year employment record, that if you're self-employed, there's some toughness that the jumbo loan. So what is?
There is, yeah. Yep. There is self-employed. There's more hoops to jump through, for sure. Yeah.
So unfortunately, we Guarantee Rate, but then also banks all around the country, in March and April and May, we saw where people would, close on their house on Friday, knowing they got laid off on Monday, or furloughed or, whatever, and they ain't got no job. So then the first payment comes around, they can't make it, and it's like, why can't you make this, what's going on? And they're like, I'm unemployed or whatever it is. So everywhere around the country that's happening. So there are all these rules that have come about because of the whole COVID-19 thing. We used to verify your employment 10 days out. Now we do it 24 hours out, or maybe 48 if it's a weekend or something. If you're self-employed, we need to see all the schedules, the K-1s, the 1060, all the tax returns and everything to make sure that you're still in business, right? In the middle, so right now it's June 19th. Business tax returns normally are not due until October, right? So historically, we would get 17s and 18s taxes and do like a little P&L for now, and we're good. But now it's like, man, if you're self-employed, you might not have worked for 3 months. You might have any income this year. So we're asking for a little more documentation. When I say we, that's everybody, right? That's Fannie Mae, that's Freddie Mac, and so on. But for the jumbo specifically, you mentioned, the 5% down jumbos still exist. They're not at 3%. Spoiler alert. They're there. But yeah, there's more rules on jumbo because of the risk, right? It's a bigger dollar amount. If before we needed like 6 months of reserves, everyone knows what reserves are, assets, backup money. Okay. So before, so before we needed like 6 months of reserves, now we need like 12, right? If we needed 12 on something, we need, you just to lower the risk of the overall purchase. So, but they're still out there. We've been very fortunate at Guarantee Rate that we do all that in-house. So, we fund all of our loans with our money. So we still have our jumbos, we have all our investment stuff, non-warrantable, first in condos for new construction, the whole 9 yards. So we've been very, very fortunate with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of
Thanks,
course.
brother. I appreciate you sharing all that. I think that's a good stopping point, just because A, I blocked off an hour, and B, my wife just texted me and said, we're getting pizza and you need to come upstairs. So this is going to be on the recording. So this will be cool. Maybe I'll score some points with that. I do want to share this, which I'm super excited about. So, and I'll send, I'll probably get to it Monday. I'll send everybody's info out. So if you guys want to connect off of this, great. Also, if you're interested in doing another one of these, let me know, email me. We can kind of shuffle the deck and get some different agents with different agents and different partners with different partners. That way there's more cultivation and interaction and, all the fun stuff that we do. But I do want to share this. I'm super excited about this. Check this out. Real Producers is going to be having an app. You guys see this?
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah. We uploaded all of our past content. So you can like this is June, for instance. You go in and it'll be fully interactive, meaning like you can like click an article, post it to Facebook. All the partners will be on there, which is kind of neat. So we are pumped for this. God willing, we will get this out July 4th. Partners are probably going to have access to it first, because if we screw up on something, they can say, hey, you forgot to do this, or this is wrong, so we will launch like a little test thing, but we will charge for it initially, but it'll be free when we roll it out. All of our existing partners will not have to pay for it. We've sunk a chunk of change into this, but I'm excited. So I want to be very clear. This is not replacing what we're doing. We're still going to send the hard copy to the top 500 agents. It's going to be still when the events do resume, whenever the heck that may be. That'll be, top 500 agents for the events. And then, the features are going to be the same thing, but it's kind of cool because everybody will have access to the app. So just something excited that's coming down the pipeline for that. So just be on the lookout for an announcement in the near future. But yeah, I'll send a follow-up email with the YouTube link. Feel free and reply to that one if you want to get on another one of these. We probably won't do another one until July or maybe August, but we'll try to queue everybody up with another one if they are interested. So hopefully everybody got some value out of it. Always good to see your mugs again, and we will chat soon. Hopefully we can hug and high five at events, God willing, before the end of the year. There you go.
That's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. There's not going to be disease forever.
That's right. So I will end it signing off.
Cheers,
Peace
everyone.
out.
Cheers.
Happy Friday, guys. Be safe. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. All the fathers, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Take care, guys. Bye.